So, what if I told you the secret to building wealth isn't about adding more, but about starting from nothing? Today, we're going to connect a pretty radical budgeting method with some ancient philosophy to completely change the way you see your money.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like a total paradox, right? How on earth can starting from zero make you richer? Well, that's exactly the puzzle we're going to unpack. And to get it, we've got to first look at how most of us are probably handling our money right now.
Let's be honest, for a lot of us, budgeting feels like that column on the left. It's reactive, we're just looking at what we already spent. It's based on inertia, kind of just doing what we did last month. And it can feel pretty restrictive. But what if it could feel like the column on the right, proactive, intentional, and actually empowering? That's the huge shift we're talking about.
All right, first up, let's dive into the modern side of this story. We're talking about a financial method that's shaking things up, from everyone from regular people to giant corporations. Okay, so the concept here is actually super simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. It's called zero-based budgeting, or ZBB for short. All it means is that your income minus everything you plan to spend, save, or invest equals exactly zero. It doesn't mean you're broke. It just means every single dollar has a mission. And I love this quote from Ramsey Solutions because it just nails the whole mindset shift. You're not just passively watching your money disappear. You become the boss of your own income. You're literally giving every single dollar a specific job to do before you even spend it. And that's what makes this so powerful. As some research from McKinsey puts it, the whole point is to break the inertia of previous years. You're not just dragging last month's spending habits into this month. You're forced to start fresh and make conscious, deliberate choices about what's actually important to you. So, how do you actually do this? Well, it's basically a 5-step cycle you repeat. Step 1, figure out your total income for the month. 2, list out all your expenses starting with the must-haves. 3, play with the numbers until your income minus your expenses hits 0. 4, you track every single purchase. And 5, this is the magic key. You start all over with a brand new budget every single month. It's a clean slate, every time. Okay, so hold on to that idea of a clean slate, because that very concept, starting from nothing, it's not some new budgeting hack. It's actually a really profound piece of ancient wisdom. And to get it, we're going to have to travel way, way back in time. Yeah, we're talking about Taoism as laid out in the ancient text, the Laozi. Now you're probably thinking, what does an ancient philosophy book have to do with my bank account? Well, as we're about to see, a lot. Its ideas about wealth and contentment are shockingly relevant. And this right here, this is the absolute core of it. Laozi completely flips the script on what it means to be wealthy. It's got nothing to do with how much stuff you have. It's not about accumulation. True wealth, he says, is internal. It's a state of mind. It's simply knowing when you have enough. It's contentment. This all leads to a really cool Taoist concept called Wu Wei, which is often translated as inaction. But, and this is a huge but, it doesn't mean being lazy or doing nothing. It's about intentional non-interference. It's about being smart enough to not meddle, to not force things, because if you do that, as Lao Tzu says, the people will naturally become rich. Lao Tzu uses these brilliant analogies to explain the power of, well, of nothingness. Think about it. A wheel is only useful because of the empty hole in the hub. A pot is only useful because of the empty space inside it that holds things. A house is only useful because of the empty space inside the walls. In every case, it's the emptiness, the nothingness, that creates the potential. All right, so here we go. This is the moment we bring it all together. This is where the modern spreadsheet meets ancient wisdom and where zero meets Zen. So you've got this modern idea, right? Starting every single month with a totally clean slate, a financial zero. Well, that is the ancient wisdom of inaction in practice. By starting over, you're consciously avoiding the meddlesome action of just repeating old habits. You're letting your financial plan grow naturally out of what you need right now. Okay, let's look at another parallel here. Think about the simple, mindful act of just tracking every dollar. Someone on Reddit was just talking about this, how this one small habit changed their spending behavior almost subconsciously. That right there, that's a perfect example of the Taoist path to self-enrichment. You're not struggling and fighting to be better with money. You're just becoming more aware, and the enrichment just happens naturally.
When you put all this together, you really do transform from being just a consumer into something totally different. You start thinking like an investor, but for your own life. Every dollar you spend becomes a strategic investment in your future.
Okay, so why should you care about any of this? Because it gives us a clear path, not just to being wealthy, but to something that's maybe even more important: contentment. I mean, look, the old way of just cutting costs, it just doesn't work. Check out this data from McKinsey. Only a measly 17% of companies that just slash their budgets actually manage to grow. Why? Because you can't cut your way to growth. Growth comes from intentional investment.
And this is probably the most important thing to remember. This whole idea, it's not about restriction. It's not about telling yourself no all the time. It's the exact opposite. It's about achieving real freedom and total control by being 100% intentional. So, what can you do right now? Here are 3 big takeaways. First, give every single dollar a job so your spending actually lines up with your goals. Second, just track your spending. You'll be amazed how that little act of awareness changes everything. And finally, start to redefine what being rich even means. Focus less on having more and more on being content. And all of this really leaves us with one big question to think about, a question that connects everything we've talked about today. Is true wealth found in having more or in wanting less?